Okay, so this is a video on repairing a gearbox on the RC four-wheel drive 4200 XL excavator. So, so your gearbox problem will be not when there's a whirring sound. If it's not moving forward and there's a whirring sound, that's just the electric motor spinning and your 2mm engagement pin is broken. That's right in here. But it's all just jammed up. It's probably like the gears have worn and they've just jammed themselves. The reason that happens is, so here's a replacement gear motor, and this is the RC four-wheel drive. And so if you can see, so there's a sleeve bearing here that supports the output shaft. Well, what they did for the excavator, they just machined it off, right? So there's hardly anything supporting the output shaft, and so then that means the gears are, this thing's wobbling, and then the gears are unnaturally being worn. So, and these gear motors, I was able to track down on Aliexpress. You won't find them on Amazon or eBay, at least I haven't. And I've bought all sorts of stuff from Aliexpress, and basically the rich people go to Amazon, and then the rest of us can often find the identical thing on Aliexpress, and it'll be around half the price. But so these are the parts that you need. So this is a 2 RPM motor. So I was not able to find the identical motor that is used on the excavator, so that's why I have to go for using parts out of the gearbox. So what you'll use is you'll use the new cover because it has the sleeve bearing that supports the output shaft. There's a gear attached to the the longer output shaft. You're going to use all that, and then the first thing that comes out is there's a little brass spacer, but so you'll use this gear because it's been worn, and then you'll use this gear. There's more gears in there. There's 4 more gears in there, but those are all in fine condition, but also on the 2 RPM motor they're not identical to the excavators. So those 3 gears that I just showed you are identical to the excavators. So this goes on like that. And so what you want to buy is you want to buy the 2 RPM version. And the reason, if you're going to buy one motor, buy the 2 RPM gear motor, because the length of this gearbox right here is identical to the excavators. The other ones, I've bought the 5 RPM, 10 RPM, 15, 20 RPM, 30 RPM. Their box is 1 millimeter shorter, and the reason the 2 RPM is longer is because there's an extra gear, just like the excavator. So if you end up having a gearbox housing problem, which I did once, there's the rotary shafts. There's 2 of them that the gears slide down on. Well, they go into a socket at both ends. I can't remember why. The socket got a little wowed out, and so then then the shaft is wobbling, and then the gears are getting jammed up. But so if you have to replace the housing, you want the 2 RPM one because it's all matching. But also what you want is, if you're going to buy one motor only, buy the 2 RPM. And they're around $5, and shipping's $5. Now if you buy more, it's not like shipping is doubling that every time you buy another motor, but I'd recommend buying 2 to 3 2 RPM motors, and then also I'd recommend buying the 30 RPM motor. And the reason for that is is, so this is the motor part. So there's a pinion there. Well, only on this one is this a 10 tooth. On the other ones it's 11 tooth. Well, on the excavator it's also a 10 tooth. So that means this matches the excavator in the 30 RPM. But also what you get with the 30 RPM is more of the gears further into the gearbox match the excavator. So on the 2 RPM it's the, you know, output shaft gear, and then the 2 that you saw me pull out. Well, on this one, on the 30 RPM, then the next one also matches, and then the next 2 match, except they're too thick, right? So you'd have to put them on a lathe and turn them down. But in any case, my problem has only been with the first 2 or 3 gears that you saw me show that replaced. Those are the only ones that seem to have any wear. And of course, like the very first one, I mean, the wear is really bad. It's ridiculous. But also, it'll be, this output shaft is hardened steel, so you're not going to be able to drill it with high-speed steel. Trust me, I tried, and they're all going to get torched. So you have to use carbide. I bought carbide drill bits. They're bought a set. I think it was around $10. It's the hole I drilled here. It's a 2.2 millimeter diameter for the 2 millimeter steel rod. That's then the shaft that engages the drive sprocket. So you can cut this longer length down easily with just a bench grinder and a cutoff tool. But drilling that, it has to be precise, and you know, you can't freehand it. If you're freehanding carbide, you're just going to break it. But then also, since you're in your new improved design, you're keeping this sleeve bearing. That means the output shaft's longer, and you have to have a spacer here because everything's moving out this way. So this spacer, technically, I made it at 5.5 millimeters, which is 0.216 inches. Now, keeping things simple, you could just use 1/4 inch material. It's just going to stick out a little bit further, which I would say, who cares? Makes your job easier. So there's a spacer here just to move everything out, and then I had to buy new screws here. They're M2 times the 0.4 screws. I'm using they're 16 millimeter long, and I've been running this, and it's, you know, working great. And also, what I can just, as I was trying to figure this stuff out, here's the details on the 2 millimeter motor, right? And hopefully it's in focus, and you can pause it. Here's the details on the 30 RPM motor. My guess is if you pause it, it'll be useful. And then here's the Excavator's motor. And all of this is easy except drilling that hole. That'll be the tricky part. So there you have it.